God, my head. We are in Nicodrana, but it feels like we are in Phlegethos, the fourth layer of hell. Our party slowly come back to the light and wake up from a night of partying. Eric is hungover. Ben goes out and grabs coffees. Eric is still no good. A rooster screams, seemingly next to my ear, followed by drums and a brass band for some reason approaching the house. Items on shelves are vibrating and the noise is coming from everywhere. Roll up, the post-race fair has come. Some halfling with no sense of respect calls out. Slowly, the group all look at each other and without talking, plan out that halfling's assassination. Beard was not in this session, so we end up setting him up a la Weekend at Bernie style. We have to leave him there just to make sure the drunks left over in our house don't steal any of the treasure that we'd won. So Galin disguises Beard up to make it look like he's watching, even though he's passed out. We hand Ben Heads out Kronk coffee. Here you go. Stop yelling at me. A large fair is happening. Lots of humans and small races seem to be running the festival. We go out to head and have a look, and a drunk from the house calls out and chases after us. He trips in the doorway and falls, knocking himself on a rock to the head in the garden. We just stand there, taking in the whole scene. No reaction whatsoever. Ben does go to call out, but vomits instead. Galin tries to heal him, but Eric comes over and actually does it. A passing doctor, Dr. Hugh Laurie Keat, an Aarakocra, is walking past and helps stabilise the drunk. At this point, Ben thinks it's a good time to back away and head off and go do his private meeting and let the group wander the fair. Ben, on his way to the meeting with Captain Three-Earing, the Tabaxi pirate, decides to play some of the fair games, and while doing so, spots the captain sitting on a porch nearby. "Oh, this was fantastic. Come inside. Please, meet my husband." Ben follows him in. The Tabaxi's husband is a human male who looks exactly like Antonio Banderas, including knee-high boots, and his name is Manuel. "You see, we want you to take over the drug trade in Nicodrana. You have an inn with a growing group, and we want to take advantage of that." See, when we rescued the house, it turns out that it was a main drug-dealing den for all of Nicodrana, and both pirates wanted to come back into the hold. They both hold hands and look towards Ben for some acceptance, but Ben doesn't care and says, "I am perfectly fine with this." Selling the spice seems to have the same effect on people as meth does. It just leaves them skinny, wasted away people. And Ben, while talking to Manuel and Captain Three-Earing, says he's got something to think about, and "I will be back on the morrow with an answer. I must discuss it with my workers." The pirates seem happy with this, but Manuel turns to him with a knife held towards him and says, "Before you go, how many pieces of cake do you want to take with you?" Ben loads up on cake, and they all come in for a hug before Ben leaves. And as they do, So Manuel picks Ben's pocket. Ben picks Three Earrings' pocket. Three Earrings picks Ben's pocket. Ben takes Manuel's coin purse and puts it in Captain Three Earrings' pocket. Captain Three Earrings puts a bloody dagger on Ben, and Manuel takes Three Earrings' pocket and Ben picks Manuel's pocket. They all smile cunningly at each other. And while in the embrace, Ben also grabs both the pirates on their penis. At the fair, Eric got pooped on by a bird and considered this lucky, so went off and got a lucky dip at the fair, and opened it to find a token for one free magical drink at the cider house. Well, I'm not going to let this go to waste. Eric heads there. En route, Eric hears some giggling and just in time sees a custard tart flying towards his way very fast. Eric ducks but gets caught by the second one, and then the first one pops back down on him. A scream, "Custard tart fight!" is cried, and goblins scatter everywhere, going for tarts. Kronk quickly grabs a pie and tosses it, landing barely at his feet. He doesn't know how to throw these things. And Gnome's pies start slapping him, hitting him on the armour. Eric quickly grabs two pies and starts spinning round, arms extended, calling, "Pie Tornado!" The small gnome asks Galin if he's seen his brother, and Galin quickly grabs him and heaves him over a table that he dives behind and uses as a barricade. Galin looks around, tosses a pie in the air, stands up and casts Conjure Barrage, and a 60-foot cone of pies is summoned and covers everything in the street. A fancy Aarakocra that bears a remarkable resemblance to Scrooge McDuck is walking past, watching all this, and says, "Well, I never." Kronk casts whole purse on him, walks up, and slowly pushes a pie into the fancy Aarakocra's face. Ben enters the scene with some cake and sits down next to Grandma Gnome watching this fight and shares some of the cake with her. Finally, as he gets towards the end, he feels like he's ready to join in and says, "Let's get some!" Grandma, encouraged by this, jumps down to join the fight, but as she lands, pops a hip and falls over. But she does say, "I've got this," and starts popping and trying to pop her hip back in. Eric keeps pie tornadoing, but is now getting dizzy and comes racing in and accidentally slapping Galin with pie to his face. And the pie that Galin was also holding, he slaps himself in the face with his own pie. Looking through the pie crust, Galin does spot a gnome quickly going for another pie and dives over and grabs it before that gnome can, and then flings it at Eric. The whole street is in high spirits and laughing, with high fives everywhere. Eric gives out some brochures, and the gnomes interpret that as an invitation to a spaghetti fight. Eric cleans himself up and continues heading towards the cider factory, and we all follow. Inside, a traditional-looking wizard is selling magic brews for 250,000 gold pieces a potion. Eric walks up and hands in his token, and the wizard says he may take his pick. Ben asks, "How much does it take to make these? How much does it cost?" And the wizard tells him, "It's about 100,000 gold pieces a potion. Now, which colour do you want, lizard man? Blue, green, red, or yellow?" Eric goes the blue. "This is the first and last free drink. Drink it all at once, and the effect will be obvious." Eric chugs it down, and as completing the drink, remembers the whole day, and accurately remembers the last month, and gains the feat Keen Mind. "Now, I need you to tell everyone you meet about this, so that it may make its money back. This was a very bad marketing plan," says the wizard. Ben inquires about some of the other colours, and while he's doing this, he ends up buying from the wizard some amphetamines. He then goes around and starts putting it in the drinks of all the patrons at the bar. We go find some sticks, cast light on them, and start handing them out as all the patrons start enjoying dancing. While in the bar, Eric spots a sly gnome moving up and putting a peg on Galen's clothing. The gnome then moves through the crowd, jumps up on one of the tables, and calls out, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Patrons are quickly checking themselves. Some are already watching and joining in the countdown. 3, 2, 1. All the gnomes that are in on the joke stop and laugh and point at Galin as he realizes he has a peg stuck on his clothing. Galen's has to scull his drink. As we head out of the cider house, a guard approaches and eyes off the dragonborn. Excuse me, Kronk? Kronk? Am I speaking to Kronk? You are the dragon kind with the scales and such, and you are going to be invited because we will let creatures like you attend. Because it is about you, and in this event at the you would know the Grand Marquis' place. So be fancy. Apparently, you will be knighted tomorrow at noon. Tell your boss that I will be there, says Kronk. As the guard leaves, his commander behind him can be heard saying, "That was just terrible," as they walk off. Ben spots a small store with the Grandma Gnome sitting there from the pie fight, and she's calling out to him, "Yoo-hoo! Come over here, dear. 5 gold pieces. Have your fortune told." Ben doesn't mind. Sure, he walks over. Grandma takes the money and tells him to stare into a bowl of water. Stare deep into the bowl. Look deeper. Waves pass over Ben and he starts feeling tired. Your future says that you will be wet! And she flicks the bowl up in his face, and in a laugh she jumps down. You can audibly hear her hips and joints cracking and popping, and she tries to run away very, very slowly. The group just watched this little old lady having the time of her life, trying to run away like she was young again. We come across a stone skimming competition and all participate. Some do poorly, some do well. Eric didn't do too badly with 14 skips, but a small hobbit girl managed to get 26 skips on the stone, and it made it to the other side of the body of water. Unfortunately for the little hobbit girl's turn, the judges were distracted by some butterflies, and they missed the girl's throw. Eric tried to persuade the judging team and describes what it was, but they declare Eric the winner, and Eric gives the trophy to the little hobbit girl, and her tears turn from sadness to joy. "Oh, thank you so much for... Here, please, take my lucky stone." And she runs around to the other side of the water and retrieves her stone and comes back and gives the lucky stone to Eric. Aww. With the day finishing and the sun setting, the nighttime festival will be continuing soon. We walk around and come across a puppet show in the street. A very monotone actor is voicing the puppets that Kronk and Eric are staring intently at. The voice does sound familiar. Kronk watches, looking for any religious context in the show, and finally we decide that this is sacrilege. Eric summons pasta from the sky and begins raining and covering the whole place, and you hear some of the little children yelling out, "Pasta fight!" Eric spots the person giving the puppet show had an illusion over himself. It was an elf called Eldarin, or the Raven, and was known for killing an innkeeper that we'd met previously. Eric casts spells at the puppeteer, with Galin looking around the room. Galin and Kronk finally see through the illusion, and Kronk tries to cast Hold Person, in which case the elf fails his save. Kronk tries to run over and get to the elf, but slips on pasta and falls prone and ends up having to swim across the floor. Ben slips and saves himself and just manages to slide in for a tackle, but flips around and moves into a flanking position behind the puppeteer. Eric, still breaststroking along the ground and then trying to push himself like a penguin to get across the spaghettied floor, and Galin casting branding smite through the meatballs that are being thrown around. Kronk uses his acid breath, and this is finally enough to scare all the kids from the puppet show, and they run away. Ben takes cover behind the elf to miss the acid and goes in for a backstab while Eric is calling in more spaghetti. Eldarin says, "I'd love to stay, but I really must be off." And he shifts into a raven and begins to fly away. Kronk casts hold person, but he saves this time. Ben uses his boomerang and throws it. And as the raven is going, "And today was the day you almost caught." Conk. The raven falls prone on the ground as the boomerang hits him in the back of the head. Galin sends House to go up and grab the raven, and House pounces on him. And Eric casts guided breadstick, but misses. The elf tries to get up and turn into a direwolf, but House has got him grabbed on tight. And Galin moves in to attack, followed by Kronk with smites, Ben backstabbing, and the raven falls unconscious. The guards quickly approach. "Dragons attacking! Faces melting!" in reference to the dragonborn and Kronk's acid breath. Another guard tries to correct him. "You can't say dinosaurs, they're beautiful creatures." They inspect the hand of the unconscious raven. They look out to each other and blow another whistle, and more guards are called. More cops show up, all having to inspect each hands and our hands before investigating and joining in. A full guard search is ordered of the area. The puppet show was found to still have fingers inside some of the puppets. And we are told that we must now go see the Marquis right away. And that is all we fit into that session.